So with the passing of the Queen, we obviously we're going to talk about it today, but we wanted to reach out to some people who might be able to, speak directly from London.
Give a more thorough perspective.
And I hate that we're talking to these guys on this occasion because we love them to death. They were here in Philadelphia last year.
But they're perfect for this if you stop and think about it, because they're a conduit.
Yep, and they have a great YouTube channel where they cover American culture, British culture, and the differences and the likenesses and all that stuff. So we have Joel and Leah who are on with us this morning from London. Morning, guys. It's nice to see you again. We're doing this via Zoom, by the way. But thank you guys for joining us. And we thought we'd touch base because obviously this is a huge story, internationally, and but more specifically for Londoners and anyone in the United Kingdom. What's the feeling today after all this news came down yesterday?
I think it's just one of shock, really, because we all knew that she was getting older, but it feels like it's just happened very, very quickly. There was no sort of warning for it. So waking up this morning, I've been to the gym and been to the grocery store, and everyone just seems a bit down, a bit solemn, really. And lots of people wearing black as well.
It's interesting because we don't have here... we obviously have presidents and we have people that have affected the country and that the in general people hold in reverence. But there's nothing like the Queen, like Queen Elizabeth, especially her reign, where that basically all my life. And when you hear Mick Jagger, saying for all his life, she was there. That is a relationship, that is hard to wrap your mind around. This persistent. Almost parental figure that you always felt, I guess, had your back, and that's what we're hearing from a lot of British personalities. Is that a familial sense, and you guys feel it as well?
100%. I mean, she was like the constant force throughout our whole lives. We've only ever known our Queen as our Queen. We've never even said the words like our king. It was so alien to us that we've now got a king. And she's just been there for forever. So my parents, our grandparents, like you were saying, no one's really known anything other than the Queen. So that's why it just feels very deep. It feels like she had this constant like aura of eternity around her, like she'd never go.
Right.
I think we all knew she was getting old, and especially when she recently we've had a new prime minister. So usually the Queen would speak to the prime minister in London, but the prime minister flew up to Balmoral to meet the Queen. So there was sort of like news in the media about, the Queen's very unwell. Like it's very unlikely that the prime minister would meet the Queen up in Scotland. So then, it's just all happened really, really quickly. And it's just so shocking. I feel like today especially it has really hit.
Obviously, as a period of mourning is going to take place, but thinking ahead, growing up with a monarchy, and with this head of state there for so long, do you guys see maybe things changing a little bit with the new guard coming in with the king and maybe I don't know, changing things up a little bit, or do we see staying the course?
I don't know. It's hard to tell because it's all unknown for us, especially. But I think I was hearing this morning on the radio about Prince Charles has always been a little bit jokey. He pushes the boundaries a bit and everything. But even like in the past, he said he acknowledges that when he becomes king, he'll have to be a bit more straight-laced than maybe he has been in the past. But I still think he's got a personality. He's an individual. So I think that he will implement some changes. But who knows what they might be? I mean, everyone's talking about the stripped down monarchy. I don't know what will happen if he'll change anything, especially to do with Harry and Meghan or not. I don't think he will, but we don't really know.
Yeah, it's very interesting. They keep talking about this sort of slimmed down monarchy, and we just don't really know what that means yet. But I think that you've got to hand it to her. Like the Queen did so well, especially through times where there's been almost like a death of leadership, hasn't there? Like not many people look up to like a figure like that anymore. There's still a lot of us that do, but it is a different time, and she's remained like dutiful, very well liked, very well respected throughout everything, through you know, we've got all this cancel culture now. There's everything, and she's just done an amazing job at putting the country above herself and her family. So I don't know who will be able to step into those.
It seems impossible. It seems impossible with I mean, there's, again, when you talk about a once in a lifetime, once, you know, in a monarchy figure, I mean, she was it. And I found it interesting because I was watching, you know, a number of specials and things that popped up on the news that her appeal, well, she clearly was favored by the older guard. That's not the case. Because of The Crown and movies and other things that have sort of, at least on this side of the Atlantic, have refueled and rekindled an understanding. And Preston and I were talking about the first 2 seasons of the Crown, and just I was aware of her, you know, historically speaking, as a young princess and all that she went through. I think that's positioned it for a lot of people to go, oh, and even younger people to say, wow. You know, I'm that age when she became queen, and how would I have handled that? So do you guys sense that she is now more multi-generational, perhaps, generational, I should say, in her appeal than she might have been 20 years ago?
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Joel?
I think so. I think especially with COVID, it's been really difficult, obviously, over the last few years. And I know that whenever she did a really lovely, like, speech that was broadcast, and that meant quite a lot to lots of people because it suddenly reinforced that actually this hits everyone. But yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, the fact that she was younger, she never asked to be, like, she never really expected to be queen, unlike Charles, who has always known that unless something happens to him, he will always become king. So I think that makes it quite relatable, where that was sort of thrust upon her. And that sort of makes her more relatable to our generation. But I don't know. There are lots of people in the UK who also are anti-monarchists, but I think the standout thing is that even people who are anti the monarchy and anti-establishment, they all respect Queen Elizabeth as a person and as someone who has represented our country and worked for our country since she ascended the throne.
I was lucky enough to visit Windsor Castle a few years ago, and when you go to a place like that and you see the historical value and what it means to the country, what it means really to the world because of its historical value, it leaves an impression on you. And I'm always curious from the British perspective, when the world turns its eyes back on your country, because that's what's happening yesterday and today. Everybody really, I mean, worldwide focuses on your monarch. What does that feel like to have the world's attention back on your country again?
Gosh, I mean, yeah, when you put it like that, she's arguably the most sort of famous woman in the world right now. Like, always has been in our lifetime. I don't think we've ever really thought about it, about the world's eyes being on us. I haven't really thought about that at all. Yeah.
It is quite unknown. Like, obviously it's unknown for us and for our parents' generation because we've never experienced a death of a monarch before. So yeah, when we've had lots of our viewers who are from the US asking us what happens next, what about now, and we're like, don't know. We're not literally learning as much as you are through the media and through like people talking about it. So I don't know. It's it'll be interesting to see how this all sort of happens over the next 10 days.
I don't know if you guys are able to really answer this question because I don't know if you guys know who the queen really was as a person. But, you know, do your best to answer this question, either of you guys or both of you guys. Do you think, or what do you think, if the queen ever came to Philadelphia, what kind of cheese would she put on her cheesesteak?
Oh, gosh. I reckon she'd go for that really gross one you were telling us about.
Cheese whiz.
Because you guys didn't take my recommendation.
Hey, I'd like to point something out. They made a video in Philadelphia. We sent them to Pat's and Gino's. Okay, and Joel doesn't like beef, so he had a little bit of a cheesesteak, and you know what he got instead?
What?
A meatball sandwich. Joel, it's made with beef.
It's made with beef.
I hate to tell you that a meatball sandwich is made with beef.
It's more palatable beef, I think.
Palatable.
Ground beef. He likes ground beef.
No, it's not a hamburger. It's a sloppy Joe.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Have you guys have you done any video? Because I've seen tons of your videos, but obviously not all of them. You got loads and loads of them on your YouTube channel. But have you covered the monarchy and explaining it to the to Americans and people from other countries?
We've done quite
a few. Yeah, we've done some commentary pieces. Like what will they name the baby when I think it was when Harry and Meghan first had their baby, or maybe it was Kate and Will's. And we've done a little bit. I think we've done one explaining sort of the hierarchy in the monarchy. But yeah, we haven't done a whole bunch, but we've done a handful.
I mean, just try to explain why to Americans who wouldn't get it at all, why this family is as important as they are and is held in this regard and so on. Because, you know, people who grow up in a country that doesn't have monarchs, it's a hard time to, it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around.
Yeah, no, sure. I mean, like for the, you know, speaking on like our opinions of the Queen and the huge role, you know, she had in this country. She was working 24/7, no privacy. She avoided controversy herself. And, you know, for 70 years, that takes a pretty amazing person to have been able to do that, remain like a very likable woman. And she's played a huge role in, you know, like the diplomatic relations to bring a lot of countries closer together at times, you know, when wars were more prevalent than they are now. And, you know, I understand that while she's had privilege, she's worked really, really hard. And we all have a lot of respect for her and we feel her death. You know, it's like someone you know, but you don't know.
Right.
Died.
No,
that's what it feels like.
Completely get it.
Sure.
It's an astonishing, as you said, that, and it's something that I'm fascinated by. I mean, there's a genuine sense of sadness. At least there are so many people in the United States who are massive fans of and invested in the royal family, and it was the Queen herself. Queen Elizabeth was the flashpoint for all that the draw, and then the weddings and all the things that became part of our pop culture as well, and became important to us. And so I'm just thinking, and both you guys referred to it, that sort of sense of comfort that, you know, even if it was just perhaps performative, not the right word, but that this person was always there with your interest in heart, you know, and mind, and that's comforting, and that's something that I you know, again, we I think look to and say, wow, that is kind of cool. And you say there are people who are opposed to the monarchy, and we get that, but as you said, the woman herself managed to slalom around all of that, and her legacy will be absolutely unimpeachable.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. And we haven't even mentioned the fact that they the tourism it brings into the country. If we didn't have a monarchy, I feel like we would lose our identity as a nation, because I feel like 99% of the people that come to the UK, they want to come to London, they want to see Buckingham Palace, they want to visit all the other royal palaces across the country. It's a huge part of our national identity. So if we didn't have that, I don't know what we would have. So I can understand why people don't like the monarchy and they think it's unfair, but for us, it's not a huge. I think it works out that this was a few years ago. It worked out like 83 pence per year, so less than $1 a year that each person pays in taxes to the royal family. So it on our count, we're happy to pay that.
yeah, no doubt.
100%. Yeah, I think, you know, to us, she was just one of the greatest things about being British, and so it does not feel like it will ever be the same. So yeah, we're just so lucky that we've sort of lived these, you know, sort of 30 years having our Queen, that whilst we've been alive, and, you know, long live the King.
Yes.
So 70 years with a Queen as the head of the royal monarchy, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but the next 3 monarchs will all be kings, right? It's Charles, and then William, and then George?
Exactly.
So unless anything happens to any one of those, then we'd have a queen with Queen Charlotte. Well, Princess Charlotte at the moment, but she would be queen. So it's very unlikely that we will ever have another queen in our lifetime.
Well, look at the bizarre confluence of events that led to Queen Elizabeth. You know, the things that no one could have ever seen. It's funny because people talk about, the controversy of recent times. It's like, no.
Yeah.
There's been controversy throughout, and that's what makes what she was privy to and also part of so amazing. You know, that this it really would behoove a lot of people to check into the history, because there were some insane times in the royal family and things that went on. I mean, you know, if you go to the Tower of London, Preston, there's that picture of, I mean, you know, a young queen meeting with Winston Churchill. You know, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. And she did it all with such, you know, grace, poise.
That's my fries are up. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, huge respect to her.
All right. Well, listen, thank you guys. We just wanted to get some perspective directly there, and we knew we could count on you guys so much. New videos coming up you want to mention here to the listeners in Philadelphia at all?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've got a new series coming up where we try and make our American subscribers recipes. So we tried to make American meatloaf, would you believe?
All right, here's what you need to do. You need to have at least one cooking segment with Kathy Romano on the show. And then make sure you have some sort of medical staff ready.
Yeah.
I am not a chef at all, and I think meatloaf is the most disgusting thing ever. I'm sorry. I know you guys love it. It's awful. It's
we love
gross.
it.
Hey, so you don't like meatloaf?
No, not a huge fan, but it's also a gross sounding word, meatloaf.
It's not as exotic as spam.
A loaf of meat.
But Leah, you're not much of a chef either, right?
No, I am.
Oh, you are? Okay, all right.
Gosh, yeah.
All
Of
right.
course I am.
Well, then you
Lady of the
probably
house.
you need to
Lady of the
consult with Preston.
I'll cook with you.
He can cook with you.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we will be watching you guys. Thanks so much for checking in. We appreciate it, and sorry for the country, but what a great great run she had.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
And your perspective was very valuable this morning. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Nice to
Thanks
speak
for
to
having
you
us.
guys.
We'll see you guys. Joel and Leah in
Wait,
the UK.
I love that she said, when Casey asked if she was or not, she said, of course I am. I'm the lady of the house. Like, meaning you have to be able to, as I sit over here and go,
I nearly killed someone with French toast.